Here's a straight fact. Porsche introduced the first limited slip differential back in 1932. From there, designs spread into clutched, viscous, gear-driven, and now electronic systems. Each one came about to deal with the same issue. The basic open differential has a built-in weakness. An open diff always puts the same torque to both wheels, so the wheel with the least grip sets the limit. That's why you see one tire spin uselessly while the other just stands still. Your car's been fighting that trade-off for nearly a century. Stick with me to the end. I'll give you a short, shop-ready checklist you can run in your own garage. First, let's strip it down to where the problem starts. The open differential, simple, cheap, and flawed. Ever wonder why one tire spins helplessly while the other just sits still? That's not a bad launch, that's the open differential exposing its weakness. Inside most everyday cars sits a basic gear set built to split torque between the two wheels. Its purpose is simple. Let each wheel rotate at a different speed when you turn. The outside wheel needs to travel farther, and without that allowance, both tires would scrub and fight the pavement through every corner. So in normal driving, the open diff does its job well. It saves your tires and keeps steering light and predictable. Here's the kicker. That same system that makes turning so smooth also becomes its biggest failure point when traction disappears. An open differential splits torque equally, it doesn't choose which wheel needs power. The result is simple. If one wheel is on ice and the other on dry pavement, nearly all of the torque bleeds into the slipping side. The wheel with grip gets almost nothing, leaving you stuck in place. That's why snowy driveways, gravel roads, and wet inclines turn into one-wheel burnout shows. Think of it like carrying a long board with a buddy. The teamwork feels balanced until one person steps on a slick spot. He slips, the board slides out in his hands, and suddenly the partner with solid footing is dragged along with zero control. That's what happens inside an open differential. Once one side lets go, the whole setup loses its effectiveness. So why stick with it? Straight up, cost and efficiency. Open diffs are mechanically simple and have lower parasitic losses than more complex designs. For manufacturers, that means cheaper production numbers and slightly better fuel economy. It's the go-to choice for everything from commuter sedans to crossovers because it covers the basics without extra cost. For daily errands and highway use, that setup is fine. Both tires usually see the same grip and you hardly notice the system at all. But change the conditions, snow, mud, ruts, or a steep trail and the flaw shows immediately. Instead of driving forward, the power drains into the wheel that can't use it, wasting energy and time. Pause the video and look under your car. Does your diff have a fill plug on the cover? I'll show you what that means later. But it's worth spotting now because it tells you a lot about how your setup gets serviced. To help drivers cope, modern vehicles often lean on traction control. The electronics clamp the brake on the spinning wheel to fake resistance, forcing torque toward the one with grip. It's a clever patch, but it wastes energy by turning power into heat in your brakes. Acceleration slows down, and the system only reacts after the problem shows up. It never solves the open diff's core issue. Equal torque split with no regard for grip. Bottom line, the open differential wins on simplicity and cost, and it's fine for street driving when the road is clean and dry. But the second surfaces get slick, that efficiency turns into a liability. Next up, what happens if you tighten the rules instead, forcing power into both wheels to fight slippage head on? Limited slip and locking systems, picking the right tool. Think of differentials on a spectrum. Open at one end, simple and forgiving. Limited slip in the middle, a balance of grip and drivability. Lockers and spools on the far end, full lock, great off-road or in a straight line, but brutal on the street. And above all that, torque vectoring, computer controlled, and fast but expensive. Where you sit on that spectrum depends on how and where you drive. A limited slip differential is that middle ground most of you will want. It lets the wheels turn at different rates for cornering, but it clamps down when one side loses grip. That way, torque doesn't just leak out the path of least resistance. Clutch pack LSDs use friction plates and springs. Primary advantage, strong lockup when you accelerate with options to tune how aggressive it feels. DIY downside, those clutches wear. You'll need special gear oil with a friction modifier, and sooner or later, you'll be into a rebuild. They come in 3 flavors. 1, way locks under throttle only. 1.5, way adds some resistance when you lift off, steadying corner entry. 2, way is aggressive, It locks on power and braking. Great for drifting, twitchy for commuting. Viscous LSDs use a silicone fluid that shears when one side spins faster. Primary advantage, smooth, quiet operation, no clunking during turns. DIY downside, the fluid overheats and breaks down over time. Once it fades, you're left with what feels like an open diff again, with 0 service options beyond replacement. Gear-driven LSDs, like Torsen types, use helical gears. Primary advantage, no wear parts, nothing to rebuild. They bias torque smartly to the wheel with grip, making them reliable for a long-term street car. DIY downside, if one wheel hangs in the air or hits pure ice, the system can't send torque at all. It needs at least a little load on both sides to work. Here's what matters for your build. You want low maintenance? Go Torsen, or another gear-driven style. You want strong traction for short bursts of hard use on a budget? A clutch pack LSD works, just plan for fluid changes and eventual rebuilds. Locking differentials take a harder approach. They force both axles to spin at the same rate, no matter what. Primary advantage, absolute traction when one wheel is in the air or buried in mud. It makes crawling rocks or slogging through ruts possible. DIY downside, ugly manners on pavement. You'll get binding in turns, tires chirping, and you can stress the axle until something snaps. Select your locker carefully. Automatic lockers engage on torque, often snapping in abruptly that can surprise you on the street. Selectable lockers, air or electric operated, are smarter for mixed duty because you can switch them off when traction isn't a problem. Spools or welded diffs are the extreme. Primary advantage, maximum lockup for drag or drift. Every ounce of torque goes straight to the ground. DIY downside, they're not streetable. Expect harsh tire wear, constant noise, and if you weld weakened metal, that can fail catastrophically. And at the far modern end, torque vectoring differentials. Electronics tell a clutch pack exactly how much lock to apply, millisecond by millisecond. Primary advantage, precise, programmable torque bias that can even rotate the car in corners. DIY, downside, heavy, complex, expensive, and not a home project. They cost more, they sap some fuel economy, and they're factory level installs, not bolt-ins for your garage. The takeaway here is simple. Each setup is a tool. You match the tool to the job, or you're just fighting your own car. So here's how you wrap it up in the garage. There isn't one best differential. It depends on how you drive, what performance you want, and what you can spend. Open diffs are cheap and efficient but weak in slick conditions. LSDs keep balance for daily street and weekend play. Lockers give pure traction, but they fight you on pavement. Now, here's the checklist you can use today. Check the fill plug and keep the OEM gear oil at the right level. If you've got a clutch type LSD, add the friction modifier and watch for chatter or slipping clutches where it needs service. Listen for whines, clunks, or hums. Those usually mean low fluid or worn gears. If you weld a diff or run a spool, remember it's permanent and punishes drivetrain parts. One last note, welding heats and warps metal, which can weaken it. That can cause catastrophic failure. Only go there if you accept the trade-offs. Subscribe for practical how-tos and tool-first tutorials you can use this weekend.